Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirits. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you once again for tuning in for another week. This week you're in for an interesting show as we're going to be diving deep and discussing psychic art. Also in the show we have a channeling from the world of spirit, and this sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their communications through. And then later on in the show we have your weekly energy forecast reading for this week. So hopefully that will help you navigate your way through the course of this week ahead. So let's crack on with today's subject matter, which, as I said, is psychic art. Well, straight away, what is psychic art? What am I referring to when I say that? I'm talking about there's two elements to psychic art, to how I've worked in the past with this, and how numerous mediums and artists work. The first one being is allowing yourself to become a vessel, a channel, for your artist guide to take control of your faculties, so to speak. So allowing the artist guide to channel through your hands, whether that would be the left or the right, or it could be both, depending on what the artwork is. And what they will do is they will channel through an image. Now, this image could be of anything. It could be absolutely anything. It could be of a person in the world of spirit. It could be on somebody's timelines in spirit. It could be history. It could be symbolism. It could be anything. But that's the first method that they would use. Another method of psychic art is somebody that's particularly good at artwork, for example, and yet they have an intuitive spiritual gift and a spiritual connection where they actually see visions in their third eye, in their mind's eye there. And this type of psychic art, the artist in particular, has the ability of referencing those images that they're being shown in their third eye and replicating them through their natural abilities of art. And so you can see the distinction between both of those methods. One being the first method, you don't have to be an artist or have any artistic flair. You just have to be an open, pure channel. And the second one is you have that artistic flair, and you also have that connection of visualizing, seeing those images, the use of the third eye, and remembering and recalling that information in order to duplicate it through your very own artwork. So both methods can be very accurate, but both techniques, as you can imagine, take lots of practice, and they take lots of trust and patience as well. Now, the artwork can be of many things. It can be of a person in the world of spirit that's wanting their image, their presence, to be known and to be committed to paper so that it backs up a communication that maybe that medium is having at that moment in time, or maybe it could be the fact that it's a form of evidence of that person is around the client or is around the people at the time. Another use for psychic art as well is it can be used in the form of symbolism. So you know, you may get like various symbols coming through in your psychic art, and it would be up to the individual to unpick those symbolisms in order to interpret them, to bring forward a message, a reading forward. And this can be particularly handy when you're, and I'm sure we've all done this at some point in our lives, where we've been maybe on the phone and we've got a notepad and paper at the side of us, and we're listening to the phone conversation, yet our pen and paper's we're just doodling, we're scribbling on the paper. Well, in many respects, that is a form of psychic art, because if you were to inspect those doodles and look at the various patternations within those doodles, you will be able to unpick and find some sort of message that your subconscious mind is telling you at that moment in time. So symbolisms are very prominent in psychic art. Also, if you have the ability of doing this, or your spirit guide or your artist guide wants you to bring this information forward, you can actually channel through scenes from maybe the past, or maybe scenes from the future, and they can be depicted obviously through psychic art, and so that you have some sort of reference to this imagery. Maybe it's a vision that you're being shown, and then you replicate that if you are an artist, and you bring that forward into form so that people have a point of reference as well, and they can connect in with that information that you're bringing through. So psychic art can be very, very useful in many respects, and I'll dive deep into that in a moment. But first of all, I'd like to tell you about my story and how I became a psychic artist, amongst other things. Well, for me, it all started with the very first time I connected with spirit, which would be when I was 18 years old. And that all started off with automatic writing. And this is where, again, your hand moves independently of your thoughts, of you creating that hand movement. And it comes through with a lot of information in different forms of handwriting. And that information you have no knowledge of, you weren't even thinking of it at that moment in time. And also, this kind of progressed to mediumship, as I was hearing that communication before it was being written on the page by my hand moving independently, if that makes sense to you. And then, so the mediumship took over the information that was coming through in the automatic writing, and yet my hand was still continually moving on its own accord. I say of its own accord, but obviously my artist guide, the guides were doing it. And this developed into a form of psychic art. So I was getting pictures of people's faces, various faces. And when I was introduced to my spirit guide many, many years ago, later on when the psychic art developed, my artist guide drew a picture of him, and it came through in the form of psychic art. And so that enabled me to continue that strong link with my spirit guide and to build that bridge of trust with him, because I'd got that visual representation of him. Obviously, I'd seen him in my mind's eye in meditations and things of that nature, but to have something that was directly channeled, that was filtered through my artist guide, so that I would have that representation of my main spirit guide, was absolutely fantastic. It allowed me to connect on a stronger level, and like I say, have that level of trust. And so my psychic art progressed from there, and it became one of these things where I just felt I got this urge to pick up a pen and paper, and usually when that occurred, it meant that there was some psychic art coming through. And this could be like I say, people that I haven't met yet that were coming on into the form of paper. It was also people that had passed away into the world of spirit that were maybe very prominent in the public eye, such as famous people were coming through as well. And as you can imagine, this got really exciting. It got really exciting indeed. And so I kept on doing this. And when I went into the Spiritualist National Union to do my mediumship training, the psychic art became very prominent in that as well. The fact that people were very interested in how it was coming through and how I was channeling it. And the fact that I could link in with, obviously, my artist guide to that person's either lineage or their spirit team, and with my artist guide would channel through a drawing of one of their guides or one of their family members, and it would come through. I'll be honest with you, not everyone was as accurate as I personally would have liked, but the client in question would always say, oh, actually, they did have their hair like that. They would see elements within that drawing that would make perfect sense to them, and they could align with that information. So for me and my artist guide, that was all that really mattered. I think it was just my own ideal of perfection that was getting in the way on certain sittings there. But nevertheless, this progressed, and it became a very useful tool when I was invited on paranormal investigations, as I was asked to bring out the pen and the pad and the torch, so I could do this sort of work. And it was very prominent that it brought flesh to the bones, so to speak, to the story, to the channelings that were happening in those locations. So very useful tool. And obviously I still do this to this very day. I still do the psychic artwork, and I do it on a private level as well for individuals that are wanting to connect with their spirit guide. And like I said, like I did, I used it as a bit of a trigger, because when you have that visual interpretation, should I say, of your spirit guide, it strengthens that connection you have with them, and it builds that bridge of trust with them as well. And it certainly helped me. So I do that as well. But developing psychic artwork, you know, it doesn't happen overnight, so to speak. It's a very sort of drawn out process, quite literally. But do you know what I mean? It takes patience. It takes you setting intentions. So if this is something that you're interested in and you're wanting to bring forward, you've got to state that to the universe, and you've got to ask your higher self, your guides, that is the way in which you're wanting to develop and grow in that particular field in your spiritual toolbox, so to speak. For me, I didn't ask. It was simply given. It was simply something, a tool that I needed to work with, and still continually work with it to this day. And so if it's right, it will come in. But it does come with practice. Everybody has the ability to do it. But I would say protection, you know, so make sure that you're keeping healthy boundaries around yourself in terms of your energetic protection. And also make sure, like I say, that you're setting pure intentions of the highest kind, because as we know, if we leave any stone unturned in terms of energy work, there's always that potential of a lower based energy or frequency trying to get in to your environment. So by keeping your vibrations high, keeping your protection up, you'll only get the purest forms that come through in the artwork there. And it's getting into that habit of having a blank mind. Now, this sounds pretty obvious, really, but in order to be a good vessel for spirit to work with, you've got to be able to drift in and out of consciousness, so to speak. And something that I do when I'm doing the psychic art, I generally relax myself, almost as if I'm in a meditation, but I'm kind of awake. I'm in that in-between stage, if that makes sense to you. I pick up the pen and the pad there, and what I do is I just stare at the blank piece of paper, the blank white sheet of paper. And I usually find that makes my eyes go all blurry and out of focus. I go into this trance-like state where I feel completely relaxed. At that point, I place my hand with the pen in it on the pad, and I simply just zone out, and I just stare at the white sheet of paper. And as I do that, my hand starts to move of its own accord, and I would describe it. For me, it's almost like watching a computer printer printing out something. You're watching all these movements, yet you don't know what's going to come through the other side. You don't know what it's going to look like on paper. And I'm very much the same when I'm doing psychic art. I have no idea of what information's coming through. If it's a person, if it's symbolism, whatever it is, I have no idea at that time. And so I'm just trancing out, looking at the paper, and I'm intrigued that all these shapes are forming, and these shapes are forming into features on some occasions, on most occasions. And then I watch as these features develop with the shading. with the coloration. I say coloration, but it's more like gradients, different tones of black and white, because when I do psychic art, I just use a black biro, and I find that using a black biro allows spirit to work at a more faster pace. It allows that, like I say, tonal quality to come through with the black and white. And they use a technique that I've seen them use many, many times, called, in the artist community, they call it cross-hatching, I believe, where you use a variation of lines either to diagonally and then across, almost like a weave, if that makes sense. When you see fabric woven together, they use a technique similar to that to create texture, to create the shading, and to create that tonality within the channeled artwork there. So my guides do that, and I'm just watching in awe. Again, I'm in this trance-like state, and I'm just watching my hand move of its own accord. And in doing so, this beautiful drawing starts to unfold on the page. And it truly is amazing. You know, when you see like a lady starting to appear on the page, and then the hair comes in, and then the tonation of the hair. Usually if they've got really dark hair, I just witness my hand moving really rapidly as it creates these dark tones to create like either black or brown hair. And they'll put all the textures in that hair. So if there's waves in the hair, they'll bring that forward. And then I just watch my hand moving frantically across the page and moving from left to right, up and down, just to create those tonalities within that texture of the hair there. So that is just fantastic for me personally to watch, because I know that obviously it's not me that's doing it. I'm simply the channel. I'm just simply holding the pen and holding that blank space in my energy for this my artist guide communicator to come through and deliver that form of work. And upon the completion of the artwork, I noticed that my hand starts to slow down, and it usually finishes off the artwork by doing levels of detail, such as like making the eyes pop, making them come alive slightly by adding a little bit more finer detail in there, and also such as like the hair follicles and maybe the beard line, the beard growth, if it is a masculine person that's coming through. So they'll use all that level of detail. That's the final thing. And then my hand starts to slow down, and then it finishes the artwork. And then it just goes to one side like a printer would do. It would just, the arm goes to one side and it rests there. And at that point, obviously, I know as a person that, okay, that is finished. And at that point, my main principal guide comes in, and he gives me the information about that person that was channeled through or on the psychic art. And so I then, I have pen and paper ready. And this is the part where I'm not channeling. I'm simply listening to my guide, and I'm duplicating that information that I'm being told about that individual in the artwork. So I'm bringing that through, and all the relevant information about that person. Again, to bring that person to life, to bring flesh to the bone, so to speak, and to tell their story if need be. And then when I share this information with either the client or if I'm on an investigation, it brings a different dimension to the people that maybe can't connect or won't connect to higher vibrations, who aren't as sensitive as maybe spiritual mediums. It brings them that sort of, that story to life, and the energy in the environment changes as well, as there's an acceptance all of a sudden with witnessing the psychic art and hearing the information connected with it. So it's a beautiful thing to actually be able to do, and I constantly feel blessed that I've been chosen to do this line of work. So when it does come through, yeah, it's really is an amazing experience. So yeah, developing it. You can do this when you feel that inclination to doodle or draw. Just go with it. Don't judge it. Go with it. and just get yourself nice and relaxed. Don't think about anything. Just daydream, just make sure you're relaxed, not thinking of anything in particular. And then this is where the more, shall we say, accurate, pronounced sort of artwork will channel through you when you're in that state of mind there. But it is a wonderful skill and a wonderful medium to come forward with psychic art, because it can be used in many situations. As I said, it can be used to bring a spirit communicator to life. Now, this has worked on many occasions when I've been involved in paranormal investigations, and I simply zone out in whatever environment I'm in at that moment in time, and I bring forward that communicator that is in that environment, and it just establishes a stronger link with them in terms of communicating with them and in terms of helping them on their way if that's what they want us to do in that moment. But also it brings a form of evidence as well to the investigation, where those drawings can be collated by the principal investigator of that paranormal investigation and maybe taken away with them for further research and analysis, to again flesh out the investigation and bring more evidence to the table in that respect. So it can be used in that respect. Also, it can be used for personal readings, private readings, if you like. Again, mainly what I've used them for is connecting with people's spirit guides and then channeling artwork through my artist guide of their spirit guide to enable them to have that stronger bond, that link, and have that sort of trigger object to enable them to reconnect on a regular basis, strengthening their spiritual abilities, but also strengthening that bridge of trust between themselves and their spirit guide. And in doing this, like I say, I get the information separately about their spirit guide to correspond with that artwork there. And so the client can take that away, and then they can feel part of the process of having that stronger bond and that link with their spirit guide. It can also be used, psychic art, like I said, premonitions. There's some artists, psychic artists out there that do use their third eye, and they replicate the images that they're being shown. And some of those images can be quite chaotic. Some of them could be timelines of the past that again flesh out a story, whether you're on an investigation or whether you're working with a client, private client, and you're wanting to bring forward that evidential information about maybe a person in their past and a situation that occurred. They can bring forward that imagery, that symbolism that maybe means the most to them in terms of evidential information, so that they can maybe feel that need, that level of healing, and that need to disattach to that individual that is in spirit. Maybe that evidential information that comes through gives them that opportunity to then cut the cords and move on with their life. So there's that element of it to consider. But psychic art, generally speaking, is just a beautiful tool that helps people to visualize in terms of a physical nature in their current reality of what's actually happening in the world of spirit, and what communicators and what family members are coming through. So it's a wonderful tool. Now, there's quite a few examples I could give you where I've used this level of work. And I've done a few documentaries, TV work and DVDs where I've demonstrated the psychic art in numerous locations involved in paranormal investigation work. Some of these locations have been absolutely incredible, and you wouldn't expect anybody to be sat there with a pen and a pad doodling. One of them was in, I believe it was Denbigh Asylum in Wales. Used to be an old mental hospital, and I was sat in there with the paranormal team, just zoning out. And you can imagine all the energies in these environments. You know, it's rife. So to find that level of peace in something as chaotic as an old asylum, so that you could zone out, stare at the paper using the techniques I've just described to you earlier in this episode, and then simply allow my artist guide to come forward and bring forward a communicator, a spirit person that is in that environment that's wanting to come through. It's quite a task in itself, but I did that on numerous occasions. Again, it backed up and it fleshed up the communications that we were having with the mediumship and also the paranormal investigation electronic equipment. And so to get that visual representation of that spirit that was communicating with us throughout the course of that investigation was absolutely priceless. So I've done that in, like I say, Wales, Denbigh Asylum. And I've also done it on, as I say, TV work, where I've done investigations in Nottingham, the Galleries of Justice, where I channeled psychic artwork. There was a few inmates that came through. There's quite a lot of children that came through with the psychic art, along with the mediumship. Again, bringing that characteristics, those flesh to the bones of what was being picked up by the other mediums and the paranormal equipment, electronic devices as well. And obviously the what we was all encountering in that space, in that moment in time, was quite something else. But there was one particular location I did, and this was in, I believe it is it Yorkshire? Pontefract. And I went to, is it 30 East Drive, I believe it's called. It's one of the most prominent paranormal investigation sites in the UK, and it's visited by numerous amounts of paranormal investigators. Well, I was there many years ago now, and I was channeling drawings through. There was a little girl that came through. Again, all that chaos in that environment, and yet to find that space of calm and peace in order to do the psychic art, it takes great practice and great trust as well with your artist guide and your principal spirit guide. So I was doing that. We got a young girl that came through. There was a monk that came through. And then there was this rather peculiar alien-looking creature that came through in the psychic art. And it was very detailed in which it came through. There was a lot of corresponding information that came through with that alien being and why it was there and what it was doing there and how it arrived at that location. It was very interesting. And if you were to see the picture of it, it was quite intimidating to look at. Yet it was wanting to be represented in the form of psychic art. The energies were coming through very strong, and the drawing came through very quickly, yet it was very detailed with the shading and with the content there as well. So that was an interesting one I found upon my travels there. But yeah, it's a brilliant tool to use in your mediumship toolbox. And it's one to help other mediums, I find, because psychic art can be very helpful for yourself. I said earlier about you diving deep into the subconscious mind and just allowing yourself to go with the flow when you're doodling. And when you inspect the symbolisms within those doodles, they can be very telling. That could actually tell you what's occurring in the back of your mind that perhaps you've never dealt with, and that you need to deal with in order to stay more focused, more in alignment, and more true to your own vibration. So it can be very therapeutic in many senses of the term. But I hope that's given you a little window, a little insight into psychic art. And if you're wanting to have a go, then obviously follow some very interesting and keep yourself very protected and watch out for your intentions as you're doing this work. Well, now we're moving into the next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling from the world of spirit. So sit back and enjoy.
Hello, and thank you for allowing us to come through for this transmission. We have lots of important information that we wish to communicate with you at this time. We'd like to talk to you about the untruths that have laid dormant up until this point in your time in history. We're referring to all things that seem a little bit far-fetched and fantastical to you. In other words, beggars belief, the information that will come to the surface. And it is coming to the surface simply because the frequencies within your environment, within the earth plane and the universal plane, are changing for the better. And these frequencies are the truth vibrations. And so anything that does not fit in that category will have to inevitably come to the surface, because the truth will out. All the misconceptions of reality will come to the surface, and this will come in various forms and shapes and sizes. On a personal level, if you have any insecurities or any untruths, those will come to the surface and will be there to be healed in order to raise the vibration and consciousness of the universe. And some of those untruths won't be pleasant. It will be an unfolding, an unrevealing, but nevertheless it will feel very healing, very satisfying once you've completed this process. But on a global scale, you will notice various, shall we call them secret societies and ruling class, whatever you want to call them. They'll be exposed to the point where the information that comes out will, at first glance, seem a little bit far-fetched and over the top, but in actual fact, the truth will keep on coming and coming and coming to the point where it will be undeniable that those facts that you hear are the truth, and they do really happen and have been happening for millennia. And the fact is that it's been happening right under your nose all along. You've been all, shall we say, hoodwinked and kept under a mind hypnotic spell. A spell where your perception has been altered to the point where you no longer feel the vibration of the truth vibrations, what we're speaking of, and instead you've been conditioned to, shall we say, reaction and believe the narrative that has been presented to you all this time. With this being the case, when you do snap out of this form of hypnotized state of being, the world will seem very, very different to you. It will feel far more alive than it ever has done to you in any moment in your life. And what we mean by this, the colors in your world will seem more vivid. The sounds will seem more loud and more present. And you'll be able to witness and see other beings and other, shall we say, communities of individuals that have been disguised by this hypnotic state. You will see them, and this being the case, to some it may be intimidating, a little bit frightening, a little bit, shall we say, over the top, but for others you've always felt that something like this has been happening around you, only now you have that confirmed by your physical and emotional senses combined. We're referring to also the fact that a lot of the systems that have been put in place in order to keep you small and stop you expanding and unfolding in the rate that you were designed to do so ever since you came on here as a human species. When you understand that this veil has been shifted and lifted, like we say, life will have a rather peculiar twist and turn, to the point where you will be amazed and will be pinching yourself and questioning the things that you are experiencing. Now you will feel like a young child again, once more, asking the question why, and what is that for, what does that mean, and is that real? And so you will be relearning and unlearning the old belief systems that have been placed in your subconscious mind in order to keep you in that hypnotic state of awareness. Now, in order for you to get into this, or get out of this hypnotic state of awareness, there's several things that will occur. First of all, you will all experiencing a ringing in your ears, like a high-pitched frequency tone that will come and go in seconds, but this will happen on a more frequent basis. The next thing that will occur is that you will be rubbing your physical eyes, and your eyes will be what we would describe as running. They will have liquid coming from your eyes, nothing to be medically worried about. It's just, shall we say, a new vibration that's removing the lens, the old energy that stopped you from seeing the truth of what's really happening right underneath your nose. You'll also experience a heightened sensitivity with your emotions, to the point where on some occasions you will feel absolutely overwhelmed by the emotions of others. It will feel like constant bombardment of all these different feelings and emotions, to the point where you feel you need to shut yourself away in order to get some peace, some solace, and some tranquility, so that you can function on a more day-to-day basis. What we say to you that this shift that we're referring to will be of a temporary basis, but once you've made that leap and that shift into the new high vibrational frequency realm, you will no longer experience these symptoms. Instead, the outcome of this is that you will experience a different reality in your current reality. And it will take some adjustment granted to you, but once you've adjusted, and there is a collective consensus of all of these things are happening, are correct and are justified and are true and are trustworthy, then your life and the life of all of you will begin to change. We say all of you, but we mean those that have elected to experience this re-unfoldment of the truth. There will be those individuals that do not accept it and will enjoy the comfort and stability of their old conditioning. But that being the case, it will create what I would describe as a shift, as a split in your reality. You will both exist in the same place at the same time, only those of you that are witnessing these high vibrational occurrences, the truth vibrations, will not only experience the others, their dimension, but you'll experience the truth of the reality of the situation as well, whereas the other individuals will just experience that reality in which they're locked in. So it's going to be a very interesting time, and we say this to you now with the safe knowledge and understanding that this is already unfolding for most of you. And you'll notice that you'll also want to spend a lot more time on your own in order for you to get your adjustments right and ready, so that you can be comfortable in this new vibration. There'll be, once you've done that, you'll want to spread that joy, that life, that love, that peace with as many people as possible. But to ensure that you get to that level, a degree of self-adjustment and adjusting to the new alignments and just allowing things to be, not questioning in your mind, but just being in that living moment. And when you are in that living moment, this is when the healing, when the vibrational frequencies change on a higher vibrational level for you all. But we also want you to know that you will experience a period during this time of cleansing, getting rid of the old vibrations that have kept you small, that have kept you in a state of imprisonment. These vibrations could be the fact that you may be thinking that you are not worthy, you don't deserve it. This is my lot in life and that's it, that's me done. And we say to you, that is part of the conditioning process that you've all undergone. When you start to align with the higher frequencies, you'll just know that Energy moves and it flows, and what you give out, it comes back to you tenfold. So the things that you would like to create in your reality are already around you. The energy is there. The belongings, the things, the opportunities, it's all there. It's just a case of you aligning to that new vibrational shift in your consciousness. We'll start and use those words, yes. And you say yes, and you see the potentiality in that situation unfolding for the betterment of one and all. Whereas before, on the previous timeline and with the previous conditioning in the subconscious mind, you would have said no, and I can't see how that's going to unfold, and this is rather peculiar, and you would have pulled that frequency down before it even was given a chance to unfold and expand, you see. So those of you that are paying attention or are in these frequency bands, you will just know that life, and you will experience that your life will flow with abundance and creativity on levels that you've never encountered before, where synchronicities seem to be a daily occurrence for you all, where energy is matched, and also opportunities are given to you. And these opportunities are given to you for your betterment, so that you can expand and grow and help others to do the very same. By following your beautiful example, the world and your universe will be a better one, and a more loving and peaceful one for it. But for now, we hope this communication has found you well, and has given you something to consider as you all go through this split in your energetic society. We want you all to know that whatever side that you decide to go with, and this is not a judgment, this is just an observation, that you will all be okay. You will all feel the benefits of either side of that frequency. But we just wanted you to know that this split and this fluctuation and heightening of the vibrations will be all happening in the now time narrative. So thank you for listening. Before we go, we want to give you a little bit of sound healing treatment that will help you align with these new frequencies that we speak of. But for now, we wish you a fond farewell, and we will want you to know that we are always by your side, offering our help, support, and influence of a positive nature at any one given moment in time. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Well, again, another fantastic transmission there from the world of spirit. I really enjoyed listening back to that for the very first time there. And what I enjoyed about it was the communicator talking about the untruths coming to the surface there, things that we haven't been aware of. And obviously, this is going to cause an element of confusion with most of us as well. But behind that is the fact that the frequencies are changing into the truth vibration. So anything that isn't of the truth will naturally stand out in order for us to let go of it, in order for us to be aware of it, to move forward in our life path there. Also the element of mental conditioning, where all of us, are some way, shape or form, have actually had some sort of role in, whether we realize it or not. And so by removing those shackles, we're going to open up a new way of being, and we're going to perceive the world very differently. As the communicator was saying there, the colours will seem more alive, more vivid. There will be a different energy, a different sort of interaction with the world in and around ourselves than what we've ever experienced before. So I found that incredible. And obviously the emotions, feeling overwhelmed with all these emotions coming to the surface and the need to get more clarity. And by saying yes to life, life will start to say yes to us. So feeling that permission to say yes and to be open to receiving the beautiful blessings that are coming our way there was fantastic. And obviously at the end there, that sound healing was tremendous. For me, I felt chills from my head to my toes. I felt lighter physically and energetically. And my head felt like it was being cleansed from inward outwardly, if that makes sense. I felt my heart chakra opening up and also my throat clearing so that I could speak clearly. It was a very peculiar experience, but I loved it. And so I'm absolutely grateful hearing that back, and thank you for that communication from the communicators. So next we're moving into the next segment of the show, which sees this week's energy forecast reading for you all. So sit back, relax and enjoy this week's energy forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for Monday the 24th of April 2023. Now, those of you that have watched me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the Wisdom of the Angel Tarot card. So what I'm about to do is just shuffle the cards and allow a card to come out at random for this week's energy forecast reading. And right on cue, a card has just done that. So this is your card for this week's energy forecast reading. Now I'm going to link into the vibration of that. Well, first of all, I feel as though there's massive change entering your life this week. And this change indicates that you need to usher in the new. The new is coming to you. What I'm referring to you moving beyond your comfort zone. To begin with, it will feel a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit of an adventure for you, but you are to go with the energy that's catapulting you through this emotional feeling of feeling stuck between the old version of you and the new version of you. These new opportunities will usher their way into you. Now, what I mean by that is simply by you taking that leap of faith and having that courage to do so, that the universe will respond by bringing in new elements that are there for the taking in your life. These new elements could be related to your work and career, your home and family, and also health conditions. Feeling more fit and alive within your own vibration, within your own physical health as well, will be very prominent this week. You'll have an energy, almost you could describe this energy as a hyperactivity. So you won't be able to keep still as such. You'll be fidgeting. You'll have an abundance of energy that you will need to channel into something constructive in order to catapult you into this new version of yourself that you have been treading water for the past 18 months over. Now's the time for you to move beyond those comfort zones and, like we say, move into this new direction of your life there. Please also pay attention to the lower part of your spine that connects with the pelvic area of the physical body, as I feel as though this area will be carrying some form of attachment to those past versions of yourself that have been holding you treading water in this state of being. So just watch out for those niggles. Know that it's not a physical condition as such. It's simply an energetic cord of attachment. And the way that you go about removing that is simply allow it to tell its story, both visually, emotionally, mentally, in your mind, in your physicality, and then just simply say, thank you very much for the lessons, and then let that energy go. And once you do that, you'll notice you'll start to feel more in an alignment with your true self there as well. Watch out for the stirrings of the emotions around your heart chakra this week, as I do feel as though there's going to be a new sense of love in your heart space this week. Now, this doesn't matter whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're married, whether you're divorced, whatever that scenario is, you will feel this different vibration in your heart. Now, this vibration will feel very comforting, very uplifting. It will allow you to speak your truth. It will allow you to have more fun. It will also allow you to recognize the beauty in others, whether you're physically attracted to them, whether you're not, whether you're just simply connecting with their emotions and with their vibration. You will recognize that beautiful energy within them. So watch out for this week. Very strong week for you. So I'm going to turn over the card and go through the meaning with you. So at the top of the card, it reads 4 of Winter. So I'd like to give you the angel number of number 4 to research, as I feel that will give you additional support and information at this moment in time. Also, winter would indicate a sense of coldness, a sense of isolation, a darkness. But I feel as though this is referring to you letting go that element of yourself. As we're moving into the summer months now, it's time to shed those skins, and it's time to shed those old belief systems. Again, allowing that new version of yourself to emerge from the darkness. At the bottom of the card, it reads, set aside your concerns for new. You can make a decision later. Solutions that come from meditation, the need for more sleep, or a vacation. Beautiful message. In many respects, it kind of outlines what my guides were saying earlier about ushering in the new as well. So also, let's have a look in the artwork of the card. As you can see around the edge of the card, we've got the colour of blue. To me, that would indicate your emotions coming to the surface, and also letting some old emotions go. As we said earlier about you letting past attachments to the low part of your physical body, low part of your spine there. Also, blue would indicate your throat chakra and allowing yourself to communicate more freely and openly than perhaps you have done in the past. Now is a great platform for you to speak your truth, speak your mind, and let other people see that vulnerable element of yourself. By you doing that, you'll be inspiring them and giving them an energetic permission for them to do the same. And by doing that, you'll all be on a truth vibrational energy form there. So please allow that energy to come forward. Don't restrict yourself when feeling the urge to communicate clearly, openly and freely there as well. So looking into the artwork there, we've got this beautiful feminine energy, and as you can see, she is resting, she is sleeping there. So that would indicate additional sleep for you. Also, it would indicate the feminine energy within you, the sensitive side of you, whether you're male or female, we all have this element to us. It would also indicate that sensitive part of you has been laid dormant. It has been asleep, and now's the time to waken up and notice the feelings that you're feeling, the emotions that you're picking up on. We mentioned earlier about you connecting to the beauty of somebody else's heart energy and reading somebody's true character from their inner being, from their soul, from their heart. And you can only do this when you wake up from this slumber. So in other words, allow your sensitivity now that platform that it truly deserves. And you can do this by speaking your truth and also allowing your emotions to flow through you there. Also in this card, as you can see, this feminine energy, it looks like she's hiding in some sort of caved area there. So this is telling you not to be a stranger. Don't isolate yourself. Don't put yourself indoors. And I feel as though it represents that you need to get out and about now, circulate, let people see and witness your beautiful energy, and in turn, let you see their beautiful energy. Life is for living, not for hiding away. And this week, you will be pushed beyond your comfort zones, allowing you to get out and about more and making more positive connections with people. And remember that a stranger is just a friend that you're not familiar with yet. So by putting yourself out there, new acquaintances, new friendships are going to be forged. There's snow in this image as well. And as you can see, that snow is melting away. So that would indicate that the weather is changing around you, no matter where you're at in the world. Also, the energy is changing around you. And it's time not to hunker down. It's time not to hide away. It's time now to emerge from the darkness, from the shadows. Whatever your situation has been in your life, it's now time to push forward and let people see that beautiful part of you that you've been hiding away. We've got the colour of white, obviously snow. To me, that would indicate purity. It would indicate you speaking your truth and being your true self. And also it would indicate that you will be influenced by spirit communication. So you will feel that difference in your vibration change there. Also, there's a pine cone on here as well. To me, that would indicate the pineal gland, which is the third eye. So watch out for inspirations coming to you this week. And allow yourself to daydream, as this is where those inspirations come from. So that's what I'm picking up for you for this week's energy forecast reading. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you've liked this post and you would like a one-to-one private reading with myself, a 12-month forecast reading with myself, or any of other of my services, you can find me at www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium, and arrange your booking there with me. Also, thank you for liking, hearting, commenting and sharing. It's very much appreciated by myself and my spirit guides. And you can join me every Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on my radio show From Beyond with Glenn Boddice on www.pulsetalkradio.com. In the meantime, have a blessed week. See you all soon. Bye for now.
Well, it sounds like we're all in for an interesting week ahead with all of that unfoldment there. So definitely, we just need to follow our heart there, don't we? And start to say yes to life a little bit more, maybe, as well. So I hope the forecast readings are giving you some insight and are helping you through the course of your weeks. And it would be wonderful to get your feedback on those to see if they are aligning with you and if they're giving you that encouragement, giving you that sense of healing and purpose throughout the course of your week ahead of it unfolding. If you do have any show suggestions, any ideas, or in fact, if you have any stories that you would like to share with the show regarding anything paranormal, anything spiritual, or maybe any self-help tips or advice, then it would be fantastic to hear from you. So you can get in touch with me by contacting me at www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can send me an email to glennboddice@live.co.uk. It would be fantastic to have that communication with you. And if you feel comfortable with me sharing your story with the listeners of the show, that would be an absolute pleasure to do that on your behalf. So again, I do hope you've enjoyed this week's show. I hope the content within it has given you something to maybe think about and consider a little bit of a different approach in your life, in your world, and has opened your heart up to maybe new potentialities in order for you to flourish within your own life, in order for you to explore life a little bit differently and maybe not taking it for granted, but respecting yourself, your higher self, and allowing that to flourish in any one given moment of your time. So I wish you the very best for your up and coming week. I look forward to, as ever, connecting with you again, the same place, which is obviously www.pulsetalkradio.com, every Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on this very show, which is From Beyond with Glenn Boddice. So thank you once again. I look forward to sharing some more channelings, some more conversations with you, diving deep and helping you maybe have a different perspective within your view of the world of energy, spirit, and self-help and development. In the meantime, take care and God bless. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium